Hi, Dave here from Continental Express. Welcome to our podcast series where we're going to be sharing stories and tips from drivers and office staff. This is Dave here from Continental, and I've got Chris with me and Andrew with me, and we're going to go over truck stop safety and yard safety. So, Chris, you've spent some time here with Continental doing yard work.
Yep, I started with Continental 4 years ago, and I started here as a driver, a local driver, and then I got lucky to be in a position as a yard spotter at Dan and Yogurt, and I did that for a whole year, and then I got back into the truck going as a floater, and then I got the opportunity to be here as a recruiter. So now, the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been a recruiter hiring you guys.
You got tired of eating yogurt, huh?
Yeah, right.
Wow. So, how long did you actually spot for?
For a year. I lasted a year up there
That's a
spotting,
year,
and
right?
then I just needed to change back into the truck. I missed the truck and got back in the truck.
So at Dan and doing that on a normal like daily shift, how many trailers did you move? Would you say, just guessing?
I would say we did probably anywhere between 70 and 90 trailer moves a day. So probably,
Wow.
120 to 200, dropping hooks a day.
Oh my gosh, that's a
So
lot.
we did quite a bit.
That's a
So,
lot. Wow. So what were some of the things that you did on a routine basis? What some of the practices, the best practices that you picked up along the way?
I think probably the biggest thing is just taking your time, really. I mean, it's a rush job anyway, and everybody around you is trying to push you to go faster. Drivers coming in from other companies, they're trying to get out of my way. So everybody's push to go fast, and you have to just take your time, come up with like some kind of a process, a step-by-step process of something that you go step one, I did this, step two, this, and until you get to the end, and then just always follow that process from start to finish, so that way you don't miss steps, you don't forget something, you don't drop a trailer, you just gotta be very, cautious. And take your time.
On that, that's Andrew and I had a lot of talks, and that's one of the things that we've talked about a lot. One of the things that I've always brought up was each step through a drop and hook may take 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 2 seconds to look. I always double, sometimes triple check myself.
Yeah.
But you go through the whole process and you do it meticulously and you don't shortcut, because even like you said, you're in a big hurry. The customer's going to get these 12 trailers and these 12 doors an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of how it is. And you shortcut doing that to try and save time. You might save 10 seconds and get away with it. But if you drop that trailer, you just lost your whole day.
Yeah.
Now the yard's jammed up. They're waiting on a wrecker to show up. Everything comes to a screeching halt.
That's right. Not to mention you're shutting down a plant, a warehouse, possibly even losing your job. So it's,
the damage. I mean, if the fuel tanks get damaged and it leaks fuel, now you got the
EPA
and hazmat out there. It's astronomical expenses.
That's right.
Also, and then you're sitting there thinking, wow, I wish I would have got out and took 2 seconds to look.
Yeah, a 5-second shortcut could cost thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And several hours, or possibly a whole day of work. So, well, what do you think, Andrew?
Right, I agree. I'm Andrew I'm with the safety department. I've been here about 2.5 years. With our spotters, speaking of our spotters, that's a huge focus. We want to make sure they're not dropping trailers. We can't have busted trailers. They need to. We call it goal. Get out and look. Whenever we're maneuvering in tight lots and making tight turns, they need to get out and look. That's a big initiative from us in the safety department is to get everybody to take their time. Make sure their head is on a swivel, not just using their mirrors. Looking behind them when they're approaching a trailer. Making sure they're doing a good tug test. As Chris said, whatever good process they have that they know to make sure they're connected to that trailer, and that they're maneuvering safely.
Yeah, well, very good. Now I've never done spotting. I've dropped and hooked thousands of trailers over the years.
Right.
It's, so I'm doing the same job. It's not the same as you dropping dozens of them a day. But one of the things that I always look for, I treat the customer's parking lot or a drop yard as if it's like inner city driving. I watch and I look for pedestrians, cars, you name it, because you've got tow motors.
Well, yeah, you've got the workers that work there that walk around do checks. You've got drivers that are in and out of their trucks going in for check-in and check-out. You've got the other employees driving around. So yeah, you've got a lot of things going on. You have the other spotter trucks. You have hundreds, a day of other companies, coming and going. So it's probably worse than an inner city.
Yeah,
I think driving.
One of the scariest things and it's happened to me more than I'd like to admit, but it happens. And one of the scariest things when I get into a parking lot is you're usually going in the same parking lot employees are going in, and depending on what time of day it is, if it's shift change or lunch or break, they're on a time limit. They got 5, 10, 15 minutes. They want to run out and take off and run back in. I've had several times where I'll find my door and I'll line up to it, and then I'll angle out and cut the truck over. So the truck and trailer sitting like this, and I'm ready to back into the door. Now I can see the driver mirror, but I can't see anything. The passenger mirror is way out because of the angle of the truck and trailer. And I watched so diligently because I've had dozens of times. You get some guy coming back 5 seconds from his break late, and boom, right behind your trailer, just as you start to go backwards, and he'll squeeze in between your trailer and the other trailers.
Because they don't pay attention. They got so much on their mind that they don't think about
you
that
can't
stuff.
see them until they're already coming out from behind you. So I really watch left and right down the parking lots because.
Well, you make a good point because as a spotter driver, you have to pay attention to that too because you're in the same area all day long.
Yep.
Well, like you come in, you've been somewhere else. This driver, any driver comes in, and they just see all these spotter trucks backing in, driving around, and they're all they're looking for is like, oh, where's my check-in? So, and they're not paying attention to you. You might be backing into a door. It's something you've done 100 times today, but you got to really pay attention because one of the drivers might not be paying attention and drive right behind you. And it's happened before. So it
happens
you have to be very cautious.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, like with pedestrians.
Right.
Even people that work at factories, warehouses, they don't drive trucks.
Right,
They
so-
don't know what it's like.
So about that, our drivers, become pedestrians when you guys get out of the truck, and that's why we always tell them, put on your reflecting vest. If you have to walk through the lot for any reason, put on that vest, keep your head on a swivel. We had an issue with a pedestrian in a parking lot that was walking, looking down at a clipboard, wasn't paying attention, and got hit by another truck. We saw that on. There was footage and we saw that the truck backed up, didn't see the pedestrian, and hit him. So that's why we say keep your head up if you have to walk through a parking lot, and keep that reflector vest on to make it easier for people in trucks to see you.
Yep. And when you go to get out of the truck, to open your doors, to check, to get out and look, one of the things I always do before I back in is I always go to the door that I'm going to back into. I always check the ground, I check the dock, make sure the dock lock or the door's not broke or something's not off, because if it is, and I back into that door, they might think I broke it.
Right, yeah.
So I always kind of just do a
stuff.
quick visual check, but while I'm there, I'm also looking for nails on the ground, wood chunks, debris, seal pieces, anything that's a tire hazard, anything that's gonna, 'cause you don't want to back your trailer into the door and then get a flat tire.
Right. Or even a wheel chalk sticking out there.
Wheel chalks.
A
lot of some of those metal wheel chalks, like they get old and they get used, and then the metal on the side starts bending out, and it makes a nice little sharp point.
Yeah, you could pop a tire in a hurry.
Yeah, I'll rip your tire right now. So I always look for that stuff. I always go really slow. You watch your speed. Like I said, I'm always, I'm on top of that steering wheel, looking out the mirrors, looking out the window.
See, you do something that reminds me, like my dad taught me, he was a driver, and he taught me a long time ago that, it's not, if you're a good driver, it's not your driving you need to worry about. It's everyone else around you.
Yes.
So you need to pay attention to everyone around you, and I think that's probably pretty key.
That's
That
why
sounds like exactly what you're doing.
That's why we talk defensive driving all the time. I have conversations with drivers, and they tell me I have a great accident record, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I remind them, look, I agree, you're a good driver, good professional. We just need to make sure you're driving defensively, because you don't know what these other people are going to do. You have no idea who they are.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because that's one of the very first things that I learned when I was in my first 3-6 months of driving, for a day of driving.
Right.
I wanted to look out for me when I pulled into a parking lot. I wanted to look out for somebody like me when I pulled into a truck stop. I felt so bad for those other drivers, because I'm brand new day one, and my legs jumping up and down.
Yeah,
I'm
you're nervous.
And, I mean, literally, I've taken 35-40 minutes to back into a double wide spot before.
Right, yeah.
And I got the trainer sitting in the passenger seat, just be careful, calm down, watch what you're doing.
That reminds me. We have to
The
remember
trainer should have got out and helped you back.
Well, backing into stuff, we're not taking the CDL test where you get docked for points for pull-ups or anything like that. It doesn't matter how many times you pull up, how many times you get out and look, you do it, so you don't hit anything, because the goal is not to hit anything.
Yeah, so eventually, over 18 to 20 years of driving, I got better at backing.
I'll tell you what, anytime I road test someone and they have to back up, I get out and I stand back there, and I'm going to help guide them, because I am not going to be sitting in that truck when they hit something. I'm not going to have that on me. There's no way.
And that's a good point to bring up, because when you're helping like a newer driver, because I've had plenty of times where I've had drivers come up and ask me to help them. It is a challenge when they don't know what they're doing, and God bless them, because we were all there at one point. Nobody came into the world knowing how to drive truck.
That's right.
But
you weren't born with a shifter in your hand?
Oh, it's all automatic now.
Right.
I was born yesterday. But no, it's a challenge to try and help somebody back in and tell them how to turn. And, and you want to be up front, but you want to be, you got to be beside them. But when you're back there, like you said, you have to move to stay in their mirror so they can see you. Right?
Yeah. Because they're not thinking about that.
You're telling them to go this way, they start going this way, and then you disappear out of their mirror, and you wait, stop, and they can't see you.
That's a good point. I make sure I have visual with them in the mirror.
Yeah, so if you can see their eyes, they can see you.
Yeah, but I've literally had times where I've pulled in and it's been a long day. I've drove all day. I'm exhausted. All I want to do is back into the door and go to bed. And I've literally pulled in and sat 45 minutes waiting for the guy to get backed into the dock.
Yeah.
Because he's brand new. He was you could tell he just got out of training or was in training. And
did you get out and help him back?
I have, if they ask. I don't bother them. I'll watch to see what they do. If they ask, I will gladly help them. But if they don't ask, I let them go, because sometimes the best training is just fighting your way through it. The only time I'll intervene is if I see they're probably going to hit something, then I can stop it from happening, because you don't want anybody to have an accident. But yeah, I've literally sat for like 45 minutes at a customer's waiting for somebody to get back to them, and then just to drive, 100 yards down the parking lot to get out and go check in, only to come back out and here's another new guy backing into another door, and I gotta wait for him.
Well, as a spotter, you see that a lot.
Yeah.
Like teams or somebody training or something like that. And they are nervous and they're always worried about what everybody else thinks around them, like, oh, I gotta hurry. And I'd probably give more advice as a spotter to new drivers. Tell them, like, don't worry about what everybody says. It doesn't matter if they're honking the horn, flipping you off, cussing you out, who cares? Ignore them, do what's safe, and take your time. And I go, you're naturally gonna get better at it the more you do it. So you just take your time.
And like you said, you're in go, go, go mode. And all of a sudden, you just gotta stop and wait. And like I said, it's hard, it's aggravating, it's frustrating, but we've all been there. And so, that's one of the best things you can do for a new driver is just try to be patient. Best case scenario, like you said, go over and offer to help.
Right.
Go over and say, hey, do you want me to watch your blind side for you? I've literally seen guys backing into docks like this, and they're going this way. And then they pull up, and then they're going this way, and then they keep turning the wheel exactly the same. So it's like they know what they want to do, but they're stuck doing the same motion.
Right.
They just need to. So you go over and say, hey, if they ask, I will.
That's what I was going to say. And monitoring, some of the camera stuff, I've seen a lot of other drivers get out and help other drivers, back in, just people from other companies, that camaraderie, helping each other out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they hit something anyway, but they do try to help each other out there. I've seen that.
Yeah. Another thing I always do is, you're supposed to anytime, is when you're backing or doing anything but regular forward driving, you always want to have your four-ways on, have your hazards on, so that everybody knows you're doing something different. I've seen another thing that I do is, especially like truck stops and stuff. The one thing if you can straight line back into a dock door, great. But let's say you go to a truck stop and you're looking for a place to park. If you don't have to back that truck up, don't. If you can find a pull-through spot where there's 2 empty spots front and back, I always would line up to that and just pull straight through. The safest thing to do in backing is not to have to back.
But you eliminate the risk.
So I always look for those. I'll look for double and triple wide spots, so that way I've got room at the truck stop. That way if I'm off a little bit, because I know how to back, I know how to control the truck, but sometimes it's pouring down snow, it's pouring down rain. I've been driving for 10 hours. I'm exhausted.
You're more likely to make a mistake when you're tired.
So I'll look for those spots that are going to be convenient to back into, just for safety's sake. And another thing I always look for is you get at a truck stop in the middle of the day, wide open parking. You get there at night, or you wake up in the middle of the night to leave, all the parking spots are full and 500 more trucks came in, and you can tell at some truck stops where they creative park, which they have to do. But
then you're waiting drivers up to get them to move so you can get out.
I've been in positions where I've actually had to get out at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up and leave. I got to go wake this poor guy up and go, hey, can you move your truck? So he can move his truck, so that guy can move his truck, so I can get out. That is not fun.
No. Then you met some pretty nice attitudes.
Actually, in my experience, they're upset that I had to get up. It's like, but they've always been, I'll move.
Right.
They know.
They know. When they park, they do.
You know if you're parking, hey, if any of those guys need to get out. So when I go into a truck stop, to park, I look for spots that are away from those areas, so I don't have to deal with that. If it's an option, like I'll park like in a spot up close to the fuel bay, where I know nobody's going to creative park in a fuel bay, or they normally don't.
So has anybody refused to move when you ask them, like, no, I'm going back to sleep, or you can't wake them up, or?
I've heard stories from other drivers that
Because I'd be like, I'm sleeping. I'm not doing anything. I'm sleeping.
But I've never had that experience myself.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the way you approach somebody. So if you approach them like, get out of my way, you're probably not going to be received very well. So, yeah, so I think a lot of attitude is a lot.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And like I said, most of that, I mean, they were doing the same thing you were doing. They were coming in dead tired. All they want to do is go to sleep, and there's no spaces. They were probably way more stressed to try and get parked than you were. So you kind of take that into consideration.
Sure, yeah.
And you try to be professional and.
Well, a smile. A lot of times a smile makes a difference. I don't care
They just
about
need more
somebody
places
is.
for truckers to park out there.
They do. They do.
They need more
It's,
safe havens for you guys.
They really do. And it seems like the more they build, you still need more.
Right.
But yeah, like, so those are some of the things that I look for when I pull into a truck stop. I'm watching for beginning drivers, people that look like they're brand new. I'm watching for, what fuel bay to go into. I'm looking for open parking spots to pull through, stuff like that. Anything that's going to make my day easier for me.
You try to anticipate what you're going to do when you wake up, not wait till then to figure it out.
Exactly. You park in a spot where you know, hey, when I wake up, I'm going to be able to just pull right out and go.
All right.
Like you said, you wake up in the middle of the night and we're all worried about it later. I mean, there's times you have to park in those spots and you know, hey, when I get up, I'm probably not going to be able to get out of here.
Right, yeah. I better rethink that one.
One of the other things that I do too is if I have options, I watch for trucks that are crooked, trailers that are crooked, people that are parked real close to the line or over the line.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from them because
they
they go pulling out and they're over the line and then they go to swing and then boom, there goes my mirror, or my bumper or whatever. So I always I always try to park straight and even in the lines, but it doesn't always happen. But so I don't get overly upset with them. I understand how it is, and maybe they're crooked because when they backed in, the guy beside them was crooked.
Right. But you have to look out. You have to anticipate those
But
things.
you look for that stuff to make your job easier when you get up later and you want to go, so you don't have any additional problems.
Well, I'll tell you from a recruiting standpoint, like when we look for drivers, honestly, these little fender benders, accidents, stuff like that, it shows up on your DAC or on your driving record and stuff like that, and it looks bad.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the safest driver out there.
Yeah.
And if you are a safe driver, you have a lot more leverage, I guess, when you go to a company. So you want to be safe.
Well, yeah,
I think there needs to be an emphasis more on safety
and
for their future versus just, accidents happen.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
shouldn't have that attitude.
Because every driver's got a CSA score. Maybe it's 0, maybe on to up whatever. But when you go to it from company to company, they're going to look at your DAC report. They're going to look at that CSA score.
Which affects companies too.
Yeah,
so
because it
not
affects-
only does it affect the driver, but it affects the CSA score from the company.
Yeah.
So it's like, all the companies don't hurt. No, it affects both of us.
It affects
So,
both,
I've learned a lot being inside as a recruiter, like things that affect the company.
Yeah.
Just the same as it does the driver that I never knew before.
Yeah. And it's that's the other thing. Like you park crooked or somebody's parked crooked. You try to get out, or the trailers are real close together, and then you got the people parking on the other side of the aisle from you. I actually had a situation once where this was a spot that I had, but when I got up, this guy on this side was real close to me. I couldn't even get my door open. I mean, as small as I am, I couldn't get out of my driver's door. He was that close. I had to get out the passenger side. Unfortunately, right across from me, but a little catty corner, the way I needed to go, there's a car hauler with an extended, they got that one.
Right,
They're longer than a space.
Yeah.
So he's sticking out in the aisle, and I'm I'm like, oh my gosh. So literally what I had to do was I had to pull straight forward, and then angle slightly over, and back up, and then pull forward, and then angle slightly over. And
To kind of
to
wiggle
take
your
out,
truck
yeah,
over.
to get the space, which got me a little closer to the guy over here, but I had enough room. And then I had to do almost like a button hook turn out there, but I mean, I literally crawled out of that parking space, and I
Yeah.
was probably inches from the bumper of that car. And the whole time, my knees going on the clutch, and my heart's going.
Right. Well, yeah, how many safe miles have you got with Continental Express?
2.3, 2.4, something like
Million miles? Yeah, I mean, that's something to say. I think,
Well,
that's a great thing.
But
you know?
even with that scenario happens tomorrow, I'm still nervous, I'm sweating bullets,
Yeah.
I'm still going,
But there's a reason why you have 2.3 million miles.
Well, yeah, but it's, but that's, that's the stuff you gotta look for.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
Safe driving is great, but safe driving is more than safe driving. There's so much more to our job.
You have to live, breathe, and eat it, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's safety's inside the truck, outside the truck. You've got to worry about what's going on on each side of you, behind you, in front of you. It's,
Right, and like conversations I have with drivers about safety, that sometimes they're locked into that moment, I need to get the load here, there's nothing else happening in the world but me getting the load there. And, I have to remind them, look, as you mentioned, Chris, it does affect the company if something were to happen. Mm-hmm. It's going to affect a lot of people around you if there's a big accident. You can get hurt, they can get hurt, equipment damage, loss of life. Your record could be scarred, like you said, so that's a part of my conversation with them, to kind of help them develop a macro view of what they're doing out there and why they need to be safe, because so many people and so many things are affected.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, like this morning, we talk about damaged trailers, the shop gets behind, and then, okay, now you're talking about how is the maintenance up on the trucks, because they're behind doing other stuff, or customers, that affects our ability to get more customers, it affects driver pay, because if there's a lot of damage out there and there's a lot of safety cost invested in fixing damages, well then, I mean, the driver, the bottom line, is the one that pays the ultimate price, because that could be more money in our pockets.
Yep. Well, it goes back to what we were saying before: is that you don't take those 2 seconds to take your time, double, triple check, look things over, make sure you got a good, safe path or a clear exit.
Yeah.
Could cost you the rest of your day. Let's say you're at the truck stop and you wake up and you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go, and all excited because hey, I'm going to go get this load delivered, because we know that's how you did it.
Right.
But and you get up and you're just jump in the seat, start the truck up, and got your coffee, and and you're ready to go. And you don't get out and check any of this stuff. You don't see what's going on. You just rip your curtains open, jump in the seat, and go. You pull out, and your trailer catches the guy on the other side because he's crooked and too close, and you didn't, or you didn't get far enough out of the hole before you turned, and you turned too tight. You take out his bumper, you take out your trailer door, your ICC bar, your lights. Well, you ruined his day and your day. You only get paid when the wheels are turning. You get paid by the mile.
Right.
You're not going anywhere. Now, you got damage, you gotta wait for a police report or an incident report. You gotta contact Andrew here and have one of those really tough conversations that he loves to have,
I want to say it so bad.
But you can't.
Now you've also damaged this other guy. Now, he's got to get out. He's got to do an incident report. He's got to call his company, or if he's an owner-operator, maybe the damage you did, now maybe his truck's inoperable.
Yeah, right,
Now you took money away from his family. You took food off of his table for his kids, and you got to think of that.
I think, like Andrew said, a lot of people in general, not just drivers, but people in general, don't look at the macro view of everything. They tunnel vision. It's like this is all I can see, but you can't do it that way. That's when an accident's going to happen.
Yep.
Well, Andrew's being called away.
I am.
Andrew,
Off to the rescue.
Andrew is on a mission.
See you guys later.
It's probably another phone call, Andrew. You're gonna have to make a few more. So,
We'll have to get a sign on the door that says, recording in process is
on air. So, all right.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah, this was
I
real
enjoyed
fun.
it, Dave. We need to do this again,
Yes,
for sure.
Thank you very much for joining in, and this was our podcast on yard safety and truck stop safety.